Yeah, when I started out as a seminary student, I wanted, in a sense, be discipled by Calvin. I was, Presbyterian, so I thought that's a good place to start. But then, the more I studied, I kept going back, and I found, Calvin was going back to the church fathers. He found Augustine very helpful. So then I started studying the early church, and I guess for about the past 30 years, every week, and for the past 10 years, every day, I read from the church fathers. I find that formation with a lot of scripture reading and then being guided by the ancients is really deep. It's very challenging. They deal with all the issues we deal with today, and they're dealing with it in a sense stripped of all the accoutrements that we have in modern society. So they're getting right to the heart of the matter. And so I find that to be most helpful in my own personal discipleship. I read every day from the Philokalia. These are writings from the 4th century up to about the 9th century. If you wrote something that 1,800 years later people are still reading, it's probably pretty important. So don't read my books. Read Mark the Ascetic. Read St. Diodocus of Philokalia, or one of my favorites, John Cassian. Cassian tells this story where they were sitting up at the night and talking about this very question, what is the most important virtue? And all the way till sunrise in the morning, and finally St. Anthony in the desert says, no, you're all wrong. The most important virtue is discrimination, or what we would call discernment. That's the most important, because he said, if you have love or you have the gift of giving, what good is that if you don't know who to give to, or if you don't know when to give? Again, being discipled by the ancients, I took that to heart. And I talked to my wife about it. I said, that's something a dean should pray for. A dean should pray for the gift of discernment, and that would rise above all other gifts, not scholarship, not necessarily teaching, not necessarily prophecy. The dean needs to have the gift of discernment. Somebody walks into my office, I don't know much about their story, they're immediately asking me for questions, what should I do about this? I pray for the gift of discernment. That in a situation like that, even with limited knowledge, I could make a wise decision.